Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jody Anderson-Duquette here with Workamper News. And if you're not familiar with us, we have been helping our viewers find great jobs in great places for over 37 years now. And one of the opportunities that has been around in the work camping lifestyle for a long time, and it's kind of one of those, work camping bucket list opportunities, and that is working the sugar beet harvest. And so today, the awesome team at Express Employment Professionals is presenting this Jobinar to you to give you all the ins and outs of the work camping opportunities that they have available. So that way you're able to make a decision on if you think this opportunity, should be on your work camping future list. So today we have Alyssa from Express Employment Professionals, and then we also have Travis and Nick online with us. They're with American Crystal Sugar. So some great experts here to be sure to get all of your questions answered. So first we'll go through a presentation. You'll get to see a lot of cool pictures and get a lot of good information. And then we'll move into a Q&A section with those of you who are live with us on the webinar. So if you are live on the webinar, if you're on a smartphone or tablet, you should have a questions option at the bottom of your screen. You can tap on that anytime, type in any questions that you have. If you are on a desktop or laptop, you should have a control panel there on your screen with the chat or questions section that you can type into. So feel free to pop in questions at any time. Alyssa's going to give you a really great overview, but we want to make sure, we can reiterate anything and cover stuff maybe that didn't get brought up. We are recording this webinar today. Everyone who registered, you guys will receive an email later today with a link to that recording. If you have work camping friends that you want to come do the sugar beet harvest with you, or you think might enjoy this opportunity, please just hit forward on that email and send it to your work camper friends so they can get all the details as well. All right, that's all the housekeeping we need to take care of. Alyssa, thanks so much for being here, and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody. As always, it is such a pleasure working with Workamper News. You've been phenomenal to work with, and we've secured some amazing folks through Workamper News. So again, we can't say enough phenomenal things about you guys.
Thank you.
Our goal today is to provide as much information about the beet harvest to make sure that you are making the educated decision on if the beet harvest is right for you. We like puns. We always want to be sure that we're transparent and that we are not here to sugarcoat it. So we want to be honest about the opportunity. It's not glamorous. It's not for everybody. But like Jody had mentioned, people really kind of put it as like a bucket list and they end up loving it and coming back year after year. So we're going to get through some good information. We've got Nick and Travis on from American Crystal to really help us get into some of the details about beet harvest, what it is, what we do, how we do it, and what it is for our work campers that we're able to provide. So we'll get right into it. So today's topics: the harvest, why we need work campers, locations, positions, working conditions, pay, do we accept solo work campers, what are our campgrounds like, the weather, everybody's always wondering what the weather's like up here, hiring process, frequently asked questions, where you can learn more, and like Jody said, we'll open it up. Oops. So the sugar beet harvest, what is it all about? Travis, I would love it, and Nick, if you guys could help me out with this slide. Everyone always thinks that this is like the beet harvest, like garden variety beets, like the purple ones. Can you tell us a little bit more of what a sugar beet is and like how much of it comes from American Crystal Sugar, and honestly, just how much of product out there is sugar beet sugar?
Yeah, I can go ahead, and Nick, feel free to pipe in as you need. But yeah, like Alyssa mentioned, people think of sugar and often think of sugar cane, but a lot of the sugar in the U.S. is a product of sugar beets, actually. So, and that's our business. The sugar beets, we supply about 40%, I believe, of the sugar in the U.S. is of our of the beet sugar in the U.S. comes from American Crystal Sugar, and we are the largest farmer-owned cooperative for sugar beets. And so we cover the Red River Valley, 180 miles north to south, and about 70, 80 miles wide. There's 410,000 acres of sugar beets grown for the company. And yeah, we need everyone to get the harvest done in the fall. So I don't know specifically, Alyssa, if there was other things that you're looking for, or Nick, that you had to chime in on sugar.
So how does the harvest work? So the growers put the beets in the fields, and when the beets are ready to come out, what happens?
So we actually start our factories up in August, and we run a 270-ish day campaign of extracting or making sugar out of the beets. And so the main push starts October 1st, and the reason that is kind of the date we look at is we need to store the sugar beets for up to 9 months in some cases. So we have piling sites. We have 108 pilers and 38 piling sites where we receive the beets from the farmers. There's around 650 total farms in the Red River Valley that raise sugar beets for the cooperative. And we run around the clock starting in October to receive that entire crop. I believe it's the largest perishable crop harvest in the world that takes place when we get going. So.
Awesome. I've been told that the beet piles usually contain about 100,000 tons of sugar beets, and if you put all the beet piles together, it would be about 30 miles long. Is there any truth to that?
The 100,000 tons is, yep, that's a fair number to use as far as the length of it. I'd have to check, but it would be a long ways. I can say that. So.
Okay. Awesome. So one of the biggest questions we get is, when does it start and when does it end? So harvest generally starts October 1st, like Travis said, and it's a 10 to 15 working day season. We do ask for a commitment through October 31st because it can take the whole month to get those working days in if we experience inclement weather. Harvest ends at different times each year, and even by receiving stations. And receiving stations are ultimately where the beets are brought to be stored and where our folks are primarily going to be working. Some smaller locations only have 2 pilers and get done sooner. Well, your largest station, how many pilers would you say that your large station has, Travis?
Yeah, our yards in East Grand Forks and Crookston would be our largest stations. They have 11 pilers each at those. So.
Okay. Everything we do is based on Mother Nature, weather, and size of the beet crop. So harvest, everybody asks us, well, how quick can this go? Harvest will go as quick as the weather allows us to go. If the harvest does go past October 31st, you as work campers have met your commitment and are clear to leave, but you're also encouraged to stay, as there's still more work to be done, which means more money to be made. For anybody who's been watching or who's done the harvest the last few years, we've got different seasons. I have seen a harvest go into, I think it was November 9th with beets still in the ground. And in 2020, I think that was my fastest harvest, and we finished in 9 days. And I don't know, Travis, if there's any truth to this, but I've also heard that there's a harvest that went until Thanksgiving one year.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had different plans for us, and I think the day before Thanksgiving in 2012 was our last. But no, we've been fortunate the last few years, and like you say, we're at the mercy of Mother Nature. I know with some of our stopping and starting, and like I mentioned, we do store the beets, and we need to preserve the sugar that's in them. And so whether it's rain and wet conditions, so where the growers aren't able to get the beets out of the field, or the heat where we don't feel comfortable storing them, or possibly too cold. So being up in Minnesota, North Dakota here, the weather can throw us different curveballs from time to time. So,
is there a general temperature that we would see like a shutdown required?
Yeah, anytime we monitor the temperatures, but when we start, anytime we start to get over 60 degrees and 65, 70 degrees, we're likely looking at a heat shutdown. So kind of the window that we prefer would be, the mid 30s to 55 degrees is kind of, ideal, and being on the cooler side of things. But yeah, when we get up into the 60s, mid 60s, we're likely looking at a shutdown, and usually, you know, the shortest those shutdowns will be is around 8 hours or so. We need the cool temperature forecasted and the temperature of the root to come down before we can resume harvest. So
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So why do we need work campers? So work campers are truly the heartbeat of our operation, making up nearly about 50% of our seasonal workforce here for sugar beet harvest. In our area, the unemployment rate is incredibly low, and a lot of people who are working or want to work are out working, and it's really tough to find so many people to come in, as we're generally looking for over 1,400 seasonal workers, locals and work campers combined. It's really tough to get away from our full-time jobs to be able to do stuff like this. So our work campers bring incredible value to our communities and our areas, and they are phenomenal workers. We have a lot of skilled and experienced people that come from all walks of life, and it's just phenomenal people to have. This year, we are looking for approximately 870 work campers to be exact, and I don't know why this keeps doing that, but we're gonna get through it. So if you haven't signed up yet, there will be some information at the end to get registered, but we would absolutely love for you to join this fall. If this fall it's not in your time frame, our applications are open for the next year too, so you can apply for 2026 right now if this is something that you're interested in. But again, we've got a lot more information to share. Locations. So all the work is at the beet receiving stations, not in the fields. And the work is located at the beet receiving stations and what we refer to as piling sites. Travis, you kind of mentioned it, but how many piling sites and factories, and what are we looking at here with locations?
yeah, so we have 5 main receiving yards that you have up on your slide deck there, Alyssa, and those are our larger receiving sites where we have anywhere from 6 to 11 pilers at those sites. And then our outside receiving sites, we have 33 other outside receiving sites up and down the valley, and those can be anywhere from a 2-piler site up to a 5-piler site. I think this year will be our largest outside receiving site. So and they're spread out up and down the valley in each factory district. So
awesome. And so you can be placed in any location throughout the area. When you apply, we don't really have, it's based on your camper and some other items, but just know that you could be placed anywhere near the Canadian border all the way to the south of Fargo-Moorhead area. All right, positions. So all of our positions have 2 12-hour shifts. We have a day shift, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and a night shift, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. We do operate 24/7, weather permitting, once harvest starts right around October 1st. So once we start, we go until we're complete or we experience a weather shutdown. We do not guarantee shifts. You can let us know what you prefer, but we do not guarantee a shift, and there is no night shift differential. If there's any parents out there who are traveling with family and you have young kids that can't be left alone, we can arrange for the parents to work on opposite shifts to make sure that somebody's home with the kids at all time, as we don't allow young children to be left unattended in the campgrounds, and obviously they can't come to work with you. But so our main position and what 95% of our staff are hired for, and the only one that Express truly guarantees, is the helper sample taker position. Travis, can you tell us what the responsibilities are of this position?
yeah, I can run through. So the sample taker part of it, that's probably the most important part of that job, or one of the most important, is actually getting a sample of the beets that the farmer is delivering in their truck. And so you'll get a sample ticket that the truck received at the scale house, and there'll be sample bags on site with a sample taker. You can see in the top left picture there, he's holding a black bag with a sample ticket in the window there, and you'll get a 20-pound or so sample from the piler as the beets are running across the piler, and those are stacked up next to the piler, and the foreman or tear truck drivers will pick those up. Another part of it is keeping the site in work area clean, and so there is some shoveling involved depending on the conditions, with keeping workspaces clean and tidy. Also cleaning the piler. I mentioned the rain and the mud in the Red River Valley. The clay content of the soil does like to stick to things, so there are times where we need to shut down in the shift, usually once a shift, depending on the conditions, where we'll back a piler up if we need to, lock the machine out and scrape the mud off the machine where there's areas of buildup. And then as far as other duties for that position too, is just relief operating. There might be a time, depending on when you're the piler operator, the main operator needs breaks throughout the day, so they'll potentially hop up into the cab and get familiar with running the machine as well. So giving the tear back, and when I say the tear, it's the mud that the piler cleans out of the sugar beets as they go across the piler. So there's a dirt conveyor where you'll direct, hit with hand signals, direct the truck up to the dirt conveyor and unload the tear or the excess dirt that they brought in with their beet load. So those are the main duties of the helper sample taker.
Awesome. Thank you. That was super informative. So thank you so much for that. Next position is skilled positions. So these positions are not guaranteed, and they are hand selected by American Crystal Sugar. And what we mean is ultimately you are going to come up and be ultimately hired as a helper sample taker. If you have experience such as operating heavy machinery or skid steer, telehandlers, different things like that, then you can be considered for one of these positions. We'll bring you out, we'll have you kind of audition and see if that is something that you can be moved into. Can you tell me, Travis, a little bit of what a skid steer does and some skills your ideal skid steer operator would have?
Yeah, so the skid steer operator is setting the culverts or vents, and I mentioned that we store these sugar beets for up to 9 months, and a part of that ability to store it is utilizing the cold weather that we have through the winter, and we'll actually freeze the beets. And so we set culverts out in a line, and then on the other end of them there's plenums or fans that'll push cold air through them. So setting the culverts, and then also converting from a fork to a bucket. All that now is hydraulically done from the cab, so that's nice that there's not as much in and out, but the ability to do that, and then you'll backfill the culverts with sugar beets to make sure they don't slide out as we pile the beets over. Being in that piece of equipment, there's a lot of action around you, so your awareness of your surroundings, not only your fellow coworkers on the ground taking samples, but the truck drivers getting their tear, getting onto the piler. Another job will be cleaning up around the piler as you have time, or if there's spills at the end dump where the beets are getting unloaded, you may be asked to go and clean up spills. And then when we clean the piler, we back it out, and then helping the foreman clean the dirt that has fallen underneath the machine, and stage that dirt somewhere on the site as well. So yeah, those are the main tasks of the skid steer operator, and like Alyssa mentioned too, any past history of running machinery is a huge help with that and the familiarity there. So
awesome, thank you. And then you mentioned piler operator previously with the helper sample taker and how they might operate or relieve the operator. What does an operator do? I know we've got that picture of the gal down in the bottom right corner. She's kind of moving some switches, and there's the trucks coming in and out. So what is the role of a piler operator?
yeah, so kind of first and foremost, the operator is, I would say the leader of the crew. And so you usually, depending on the piler you're on, if they have the culverts or the ventilation there, you'll have 3 to 4 people on your crew. And so you're kind of facilitating, watching and keeping an eye on things. You're initiating the cleaning of the piler and making sure our lockout procedure is done correctly. And then obviously piling the beets. And so we have a a handful of hydraulic levers, stops and starts for different hydraulic motors and electric motors on the machine. And so making sure that the machine that you're running, once getting familiar with it, efficiently piling the beets, staging the trucks as they're unloading, and yeah, kind of you're kind of captaining that piler. So
awesome. No, those are great. So if you guys have the extra skill sets where you run machinery previously, please make sure to list that in your application online. There's some place where you can put your resume, you can add the experience that you've had with skid steers or other heavy machinery. We don't have it listed, but we're always looking for leadership and managerial people for foreman positions. So if it is something you're interested in where you've got that leadership experience, please make sure to list that too, and your harvest coordinator will review that information with you for foreman. But again, we've got a lot of people that come back year after year when it comes to piler operators, skid steer operators, and foremen. So the foreman position, if you're interested, please talk to your Workamper coordinator directly. All right. Working conditions. So like we said when we kicked this off, we are not here to sugarcoat it, and the beet harvest is not for everybody, and that's okay. It can be a physically demanding job, and you are on your feet for a majority of your shift. You are required to lift, pull, push a minimum of 25 pounds, and you've got tasks such as bending, stooping, shoveling, and climbing around the equipment that is expected as regular work activity. And like we mentioned before, this is outside. We are open to the elements, and the wind always seems to be blowing up here in North Dakota, Minnesota. It's very flat, and it can get very dusty at times, and less than favorable. And we got to perform those job duties in wind, cold, snow, rain. And if you are on night shift, it does tend to be a little bit chillier, especially as we get into October. That's why we always tell people to dress in layers. Nick, Travis, anything to include in working conditions, those points that you really want to make sure people know besides, hey, you are working outside and it can be incredibly cold?
I think you covered it well, Alyssa. Like she stated, it can go from sunny and warm throughout the day to very cool nights, and it can be a very beautiful night working out on a cool night. But if that wind does blow, it does become kind of a hard long night. So we always ask that everybody dress in layers and be able to put more on or take it off, just depending on the conditions of that day.
I've seen many vehicles turned into a closet during beet harvest, where people, put totes in to put their boots in and their out exterior clothes in when they get off shift, and then they keep additional layers in their vehicle as well. So they've always got the ability to maybe add additional layers, or maybe where they've taken off and put their layers in. So and like Nick said, there can be some really beautiful nights when we've got hotter days. Then the temperatures at night are perfect for piling and perfect for being outside. And then of course, when it is a little bit colder on night shift, many people we've had the northern fun to be on night shift, in the sky. So that's always I've seen photos of people enjoying northern lights. That's always really cool to have. We'll keep going here. Okay, pay and benefits. Everybody wants to talk about this. I think this is, outside of coming and seeing beautiful North Dakota, Minnesota, pay and the benefits are a heavy driver of why people come up and do this job, and also get to meet and hang out.
Alyssa, I think we're having a little trouble with your connection. Your audio's dropping out a bit. Are you still there? Okay. Alyssa looks like is resetting her audio.
All right, am I back? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
Technology has not been my friend lately. I'm not sure. I'm just going to start back over.
Yeah, please start with the pay slide from the beginning. That'd be great.
Perfect. So pay and benefits, everybody loves to talk about the pay and the benefits of coming up here outside of seeing beautiful North Dakota and Minnesota and enjoying our wonderful weather and meeting the wonderful people in our communities. But these are 12-hour shifts. The first 8 hours of each day are regular time. Last 4 of each day are time and a half. All day Saturday is time and a half, and all day Sunday is double time as long as you don't miss Monday through Friday. If we have a weather event that shuts us down, that doesn't necessarily affect your Monday through Friday. But if you've got things going on that might keep you from going to work that day, you need to make sure that you inform us, but it can affect your premium pay on the weekend. Pay starts at $19.94 an hour for the basic helper sample taker position, and that is per person. You are also eligible for a season completion bonus. That is based on the gross wages made during main harvest. For new hires, your season completion is 5% of your gross wages, and for rehires, which means you have to come back consecutively. So if you worked in 2020 and you're coming back this year, you are considered a new hire. You have to come back year after year. Then you are eligible for a 10% bonus of your gross wages. American Crystal Sugar realizes, how difficult it can be for people to travel up here and hang out if we have weather-related shutdowns. So they implemented stay pay a couple years ago. So that basically means that if we are shut down after October 1st due to a weather-related event, you do get 4 hours of pay for that day as long as you return back to work after that shutdown. There's some additional, information for stay pay when it comes to you get regular stay pay during the week. So 4 hours if we're shut down Monday through Friday, 4 hours on Saturday and Sunday, but it is paid at that time and a half rate to make up for that premium pay that, we unfortunately missed out on. If there was one thing I could do during harvest, it would be to try to control the weather to, stop shutdowns, but that is something currently that is out of my wheelhouse. Your campsite is paid for as a part of that. It's a bonus. We don't send you 1099s. You complete a W-4 upon arrival, and we'll kind of get more into the campgrounds as we get down. Anything, Nick and Travis, that I might have missed with the pay?
No, I think you covered it well, Alyssa. And like she stated, if it's up to us, we'd love to go 20 hours a day from start to finish. If it's a weekday or a weekend, we love to see people get their premium pay on the weekends, but the weather and temperatures are, kind of our number one driving force. As Travis stated, we have to store these beets for about 9 months to get them all processed. So they have to go into the pile in very good condition, and that starts at harvest time.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick. Okay. Solo work campers. So we're getting a lot of questions about solo work campers. We are encouraging solo work campers to try to find somebody to come with them. Number one, it's always funner to work with your friend. But we also, we're looking for a large number of people. Sometimes we can be limited on, campground availability and what we have going on in the area. So we do accept solo work campers. However, at this time, we have had to start a solo work camper backup list, just based on the sheer number of people that we need and the campground space that is available. So again, we encourage you. It's always funner to work with your friend. If you still want to come, please, solo work campers, put your applications in so we can get you on that backup list. So as people, their directions might change or what they were planning to do changes. It's March 19th, things happen. So please don't let this discourage you for that there's a backup list. Get your applications in still. Campgrounds. So we make the reservations and pay for your campsite during the harvest. And one thing I want to say is, I know it's going to come up later in the questions, is can you come early to the campgrounds? You can come.
Oh, I think we lost you again, Alyssa, at least on my end. Could be in internet. Travis, Nick, can you guys still hear Alyssa?
No, we're
No.
hearing
Okay.
this.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, yep, you're back. Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
We lost.
I think everybody's draining my internet.
I think so. Yes, I know. We are at the mercy of internet speeds, however they come and go.
Yeah.
Alyssa, I think we lost you at, you can come to the campgrounds as
You
early
can come
as.
to the campground early, but it's your reservation, and it is you know, you'd be paying for that early arrival. One thing we want to make sure people are aware of is when you come into a campground, the site that you're in when you come in early might not be the site that's actually assigned to you for the duration of harvest, and so you might have to move. So as you're thinking about making your plans and coming in early, please keep that as top of mind. We are at the mercy of, you know, people enjoying some of these campground locations, you know, as a family, or other opportunities that might also be facilitating campgrounds. So please keep that in mind as it comes to your reservation. We have to stick to those, just like you're making a hotel reservation or a reservation on an airplane. We're kind of, you know, we've got requirements we have to follow too. Applicants who sign up later may be placed at campgrounds that require a little bit of driving time, again, based on if you need a bathroom, a shower, you know, what kind of skill sets you might have. There's a lot that goes into placement. So please get your applications in soon, so we can talk to you about campgrounds, what that looks like. They're all located in or very near to gas and grocery. So you might not have your big box stores nearby, but there's always gas and grocery in our little towns. If we cannot provide a campground space that has water, sewer, electric, we do provide a honey wagon for those that don't have a sewer, and our honey wagon comes 2 times a week. We set that all up for you. If there's a situation, maybe there's some freezing temperatures in the forecast where we have to shut the water off for a night, we will bring a water truck or facilitate water for you as well. Because again, we're not here to sugarcoat it. It can get cold up here, but we definitely make it work, and we definitely want to provide the service to you guys for being here. We understand how important pets are to our work campers and respect that. We just ask that you observe the pet rules of the individual campgrounds, you know, keep them on leashes, making sure we're cleaning up after them. And I say pet because I've seen dogs being walked and I've seen goats being walked. So please be responsible for your pet and do not bring your pet to the work site. It's very unsafe for them. If they were to get out of a vehicle, there's a lot of movement, a lot of trucks, traffic, you name it. And we just would not want to see anybody's best friend have something happen to them. So please don't bring your pet to the work site. We encourage folks, if you have a pet, please network with the other people in your campground. A lot of them are probably working at the same locations or potentially on opposite shifts from you. So use each other. Hey, I'll let your pets out if you let my pet out. We do have camp hosts available in some locations depending on the size of the campground, but we do not require our campground hosts to walk pets. It is up to them if that's something they'd like to do separately. There's also young adults that we've seen in the campgrounds that offer services such as walking pets, but that is for you to work with the people in your campgrounds. All right, let's keep going before conversions. I do want to talk about conversions. We do accept conversions. I've seen, van conversions, trailer conversions, and ultimately what we're needing in a conversion is that it must meet Class B requirements. It needs to be a safe place for you to be if we have extended periods of shutdowns due to weather. So it does need to have a type of bed, sink, stove, refrigeration, and a type of heat or AC. And I'm not talking it has to be built in, but something where we are shut down. I've seen a shutdown for 5 days and about a foot of snow on the ground. So when we say safe, a place where you're going to be warm and where you're going to be able to be for that time. Not all campgrounds have bathrooms and shower houses, so when you review your checklist with your coordinator, please let them know if you need that type of facility. All right, I think I covered it all on campgrounds, and before we lose me again, fall weather, we kind of already hit on this. It can be cold. You can see kind of our averages there. We go from the beautiful 70s in September to some highs in the 50s in October. But it's flat and it can get pretty cold up here. So again, we encourage everybody to dress in layers. I've seen some folks complete harvest in t-shirts, and I've seen folks complete harvest in coveralls and as many layers as they can find. Again, it's not something that we want to sugarcoat. Nick, Travis, anything you guys want to add to weather?
I don't have anything specific, Alyssa. I think you've covered it. It's kind of anyone's best guess. But when the fall is nice and we do have the average weather, and not to scare people away, it can be real pleasant working conditions too. But just be ready, like you say, with footwear too, for getting around. There is mud on the site, so having proper footwear and the layers like we've talked about. So
perfect. And as you guys get registered and you talk to your Workamper coordinators, our coordinators do a phenomenal job of reaching out to you. And we'll talk about this actually in the next slide, but talking to you every 30 to 45 days. Oh, maybe it's not this slide. At least, asking questions, helping you set up on your arrival, completing documents. And one of the things that we send out is a newsletter, and that newsletter will have things like proper footwear, proper things to pack, like lunches and snacks and things to think of in that aspect, what to expect when you come up here. So there's a lot of good information that you're going to get from the time you register up until the time of your arrival and even beyond that, because obviously we're going to be reaching out to you for the next year's harvest. So the hiring process, I thought I had a slide in here, but if you have decided that this is something you're interested in, you can head over to our website, theunbeatableexperience.com. It's down there in the corner, and submit your application. Once it's received, our Workamper coordinators will call you. They'll review your information. They'll go over a really detailed checklist to make sure, again, that we've covered all the bases and you know what you're traveling up here for. Contact you every 30 to 45 days. And when we say contact, we're talking email, text messages, phone calls, and it really depends on how you'd like to be contacted. We know some folks will potentially be out of reception, and so how you want to be contacted is what we try to do our best to do that. But a lot of good stuff comes out, again, our newsletters. And then once you're hired, once you commit to completing or working the beet harvest, later in June, July, August, you'll receive an arrival date with information like your campground, where to go, when to be there, who you're going to be seeing. All of that really good stuff will come out. And so once you get up here, what's next? Your orientation and training. So you will come to an orientation at one of our local express offices. It's about a 2-hour process. We try to speed that up to the best of our ability, which is why we've got a lot of stuff online now, but it can be up to 2 hours. So we want to make sure that, again, we're transparent and we're not here to sugarcoat it. And you'll complete whatever paperwork we weren't able to get on the online onboarding. You'll watch a short safety film and you'll meet your harvest supervisor. And then we will set you up with an on-site training that's generally about 4 hours. You'll meet your leadership, you'll see the machines, they'll take you through a safety briefing. Travis, can you tell me a little bit more about what that training looks like?
Yeah, and I would say the safety too, or the training here, that's probably at a minimum. Safety and getting familiar with the pilers is a priority for us and top of mind. And usually it's a foreman of a site that will do the safety training, possibly an agriculturist that's also at that site who works for American Crystal. But you'll take that time to walk around the piler, start the machine, go over the different tasks and duties of the job. And usually we have pre-pile harvest going on at that time too, so you are able to actually see, the pilers in action and the flow of the trucks and kind of the pace of things as well. It's not a guarantee, but we do try to line up those trainings, towards the end of September when we are running, if it works. So, but yeah, taking that time, going around each part of the machine, talking about the safety, the lockout procedure for when we clean, the sample taking. Yeah, it's a good hands-on experience. I'll say that. So.
Perfect. And then outside of that training, there's also, we talk about the audition if you're a potential skid steer. There's some additional training or opportunities to audition for the piler operator position, and that will all be separate from the ground crew training 4 hours, correct?
Yep. So for skid steer specifically, if you are interested, let the local foreman know or your liaison, and they can pass that on. And we'd like to, get you in, and do additional training, make sure you're comfortable, familiar with it, and before we go ahead with that position for the skid steer. And same with operator. I mentioned, we do have pre-pile going on at that time, so get you on a machine and get some hours in the cab to familiarize yourself with the piler operation. So.
Perfect. And we always encourage people, again, it's always funner to work with your friends. And then you can make some money referring your friends. They do have to be a new Express associate, and they do have to, meet 80 hours of work before you are eligible for that referral bonus of $100 a person. But it doesn't take long when you're working the beet harvest to hit that 80 hours. They do need to let us know when they come in the office that so-and-so referred them. But if you're not working harvest and maybe you worked previously, or you'd really just like to share it with your friends or your community, you don't have to have worked the harvest to be eligible to earn that referral. They just need to have your name and some information where if they meet the requirements, we can send you a check. So it is a great opportunity to share a wonderful project and opportunity with people you might know, and also make a little bit of money off of that. So it's a win-win, I would say. Frequently asked questions. Do we hire truck drivers? We do not. If truck driving is something that you are interested in, we can certainly work with, we can take your information, and we might be able to help facilitate you with like a local grower or some other opportunities in the area. But specifically, if you are looking to drive a truck, it's not something that we have. We do technically have one position out of the entire opportunity that Express hires for that's in our quality lab. You do have to have a CDL. So if driving is something you're interested in and you're really good at jockeying trucks in and out of an area, please put that on your application. Who knows, you could be that one person that we need and be a phenomenal driver, but you have to have a CDLA. And Travis, I don't think there's any endorsements that are needed for that position, but I'm just thinking of the quality lab.
I don't believe so.
Okay, perfect. What do we do for lunches and breaks? So you will take your lunch out on the site. So once you go out for your shift, you can't leave and run to McDonald's or run to the gas station. These piling stations, most of them are pretty rural and don't have like a McDonald's or a gas station hanging out by them. So you will need to come prepared with whatever you need for that shift. So a water bottle, a thermos, snacks, your lunch, anything that you might need for that shift, you are going to need to bring with you, and you will be able to take your lunches and your meal breaks on site. A lot of people do take their breaks in their vehicles, and then there is also a scale house where you will be able to go in and heat up your lunches and again kind of get out of that cold for a little bit. And there's some fridges, even though, you know, depending on what kind of lunch you're bringing, I've seen people make the back of their vehicle into I've seen like microwaves wired into vehicles. I've seen everything. People are very intuitive and smart on how they make it work for them. I've heard the comment is make your vehicle into a lunchroom and a closet during beet harvest, and some people really take that seriously. Anything you want to add to lunches and breaks?
No, I don't have a whole lot there. Like you said, the scale house is an option, like you mentioned, for eating up food, and then the foreman, you know, is in charge of as far as the rotation and the timings of the breaks too. So that's all I have, Alyssa. So.
Perfect. How far do I drive to work? So again, depending on where you're placed for campground, we have campgrounds spread out through the valley, just like we have our piling sites. The shortest drive to work we've got is a half mile. The longest drive that we have is up to 28 miles. Again, these locations can be closer to in town or right directly in town, and some of them are a little more rural. So we do say that you could have a drive time up to 28 miles. One thing we want to point out is we in our rural areas, some locations in town you might be able to get away with walking to work, but we do not encourage walking to work if you're out at a location. There's some that are close by, but there's no sidewalks, so it gets very scary with, again, how much transportation, heavy trucks are going and moving around, and how long it takes some of those trucks to stop if something happens. So we do not encourage walking to work or riding your bike unless you are placed in a location that's got access to, you know, sidewalks and things like that. So something to keep in mind as you're thinking about transportation, what kind of transportation you need to and from work. Grocery stores, we have grocery stores. We are not like the Wild West up here. Again, it might take a little bit longer to get to a big box store like a Walmart or a Target, but we do have our smaller local grocery stores that are happy to serve you. How long does harvest last? Again, it's a 10 to 15 working day season, but it can take up to the month of October to get those working days in. Can you be with your friends? We will do our best to accommodate the ability for you to work with your friends. We cannot guarantee it. It's all going to be based on, you know, when your friends might apply, if we've already got locations that are closer to being at capacity. So we will do our best to try to accommodate that, but we do not guarantee that. What will you need for clothes and shoes? Again, you're going to receive a lot of good information, and there's a lot of good information out online on YouTube for people who've worked harvest before. But for clothes, again, something that you can layer. Shoes, something we encourage people to have boots that lace up above the ankle for just that additional support. You don't have to wear boots. If you're going to wear sneakers, they have to be a full leather shoe. You can't wear mesh shoes. You can't wear Crocs or sandals. You really want to make sure something that your foot is going to be safe and warm and comfortable for your 12-hour shift. So we definitely encourage, if you're buying boots for the first time, please break them in before you get here and start working. And what hours will I be working? So again, we've got an 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. You can let us know what shift you would prefer. But again, it's not guaranteed. It's based on skills and availability. So get your applications in right away so we know what shift that you're interested in working. What equipment is provided? Travis, what equipment is provided to the folks that come up and work?
Yeah, so our standard PPE would be your hard hat, safety glasses, a vest, a reflective vest, and then you have a lock. And then outside of that, we do have earplugs if you need. If things get dusty, we'll get you a dust mask. And then in a rain event, we do have some rain gear available if it starts to rain on us during the piling operation. But the main thing is the hard hat, gloves, reflective vest, and lock. And then we do also have some gloves as well, and they're not an insulated glove, but gloves that we'll also hand out at orientation. So
awesome, thank you. Okay, let's get social. So if you want to see beet harvest stories, or you want to check out some videos, or what else might be out there on the Unbeetable experience, you can follow and like us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We've even got a little TikTok channel going. We're on X, and of course you can follow us on our website, and any other social platforms that we might be on. We'll definitely put it out there anytime we sign up for something new. So like us, follow us, participate, share your stories, share your pictures. We definitely encourage to participate on our pages. Okay, Jody, I think we are ready for questions.
Woohoo! Awesome. All right. Well done, you guys. Y'all are a great team and have provided a lot of good details. But those of you who are online live with us, if there's anything you would like to go over again, or questions you have that we haven't answered yet, please feel free to type those in. If you're on a smartphone or tablet, you should have a questions option on the bottom of your screen for you to tap on, and then you can type in your question. If you're on a laptop or desktop, you should have that GoToWebinar control panel with a box in there where you can type into. I'll try to keep kind of on the same topic as questions come in, so we're not jumping around too much. But just a couple things to note here. Today we're talking about the harvest in North Dakota and Minnesota. If you guys are, participating in social or follow along with the emails and things that we put out here at Workamper News, you may have seen stuff about the Michigan sugar beet harvest. So just wanted to note that today all of the details that have been given are about the Minnesota, North Dakota harvest with American Crystal Sugar. If Michigan is something that's interested, you would work with the Express Employment Professionals team out in North Dakota, but that is a separate harvest with separate information and a separate website and all of that fun stuff. So please understand there's kind of two different harvests with two different paths to take. But just to give you a little input from my perspective here, 17 years now, I've had the pleasure of working with Alyssa and her team with the hiring for the sugar beet harvest and some other cool opportunities that have come and gone for work campers over the years. But one thing that really sets Express apart is the way they have updated and revised their work camper program to meet the needs of the work camper. I call them like our A+ students as far as work camper employer goes. The way they provide information to you guys, just like doing this Jobinar, how she talked about the follow-up and the newsletters, and just the care that they take to understand the work camper and do the best they can to make it a positive experience for you guys. So it's like I said, a pleasure to have worked for them. And like Alyssa says, this opportunity isn't for everybody, but we hope this information is giving you a chance to learn about if it is going to be right for you or not. Okay, we do have some questions coming in, looking good. Okay, I guess first up, let's just iterate this again, Alyssa. They're ready to sign up. How do they apply? What's the process? We go to the website. What do we do?
Yeah, so you guys heard us all provide a lot of information today, and you've decided, heck yeah, let's get going up to North Dakota, Minnesota. You guys are gonna want to head over to the unbeatableexperience.com. There's an application for first timers, and each person's going to want to submit one. So if there is more than one person in your party, each one of you go ahead and submit it. And there's actually a part where you can say, I'm traveling with so-and-so, so we can get those connected. If you worked last year or previous years and you're returning, there is an I worked last year. It's a little bit faster, and we get some information from where you worked previously, but get those submitted. They'll come directly here to our office, and we generally try to reach everybody within 48 hours of receiving their application. We do ask for a little bit of extra time after our Jobinar, as we do kind of see an influx of applications. So we ask you to just be a little bit more patient with us as we get to everybody. But we will reach out to you, schedule a time to do the checklist call that works for you, as we don't want to catch you at a bad time, as the checklist call can take up to 45 minutes to an hour, or even a little longer, depending on how many questions you've got. And then from there, we will send you out a welcome email. We'll schedule you to be contacted every 30 to 45 days outside of that. We'll schedule your arrival, and then we'll get you here and we'll get you going for beet harvest.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Good walkthrough there. Okay, let's see. All right, let's talk about RVs a little bit. A couple questions coming in here. What size of RVs can be accommodated? Do you have any minimum or maximum requirements?
The only minimum requirement that we have is it does have to meet that class B. So, you know, a bed, sink, a type of bed, sink, stove, refrigeration, heat, cooling source. I have seen conversions, and I have seen rigs that definitely cost more than my house and are ginormous. So there is no minimum or maximum for length. I've seen people turn semis and haul a camper in their car, and so no, it's really the Class B requirement that we have, so we know that you're in a safe place if we do again have any weather, or even just, you know, being in your home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and for folks who do have, you know, longer rigs, 45-foot plus, or you have the, you know, 40-foot motorhome towing a cargo trailer with stuff in it, like those are just things you want to make sure your work camper coordinator knows about, like Alyssa said, so that way they're able to do their best to accommodate everybody. Alyssa, are you guys hiring for the camp host position in the campgrounds now, or are those positions already filled for this season?
Again, we've had phenomenal work camp hosts in previous years that usually come back. I believe there are a few, like maybe one position open this year that I know there's been some interviews for. So if it is something you're interested in, again, put that on your application, or let the work camper coordinator that you're working with know, and they can kind of let you know where we're at with campground hosts.
Yeah, okay. But again, everybody, the primary positions that we're hiring for would be the sample taker and the piler operator. Okay, back to RVs here. Sorry, I jumped around a little bit there. So folks who are coming in motorhomes, but maybe don't have an additional vehicle, so maybe they're coming in a Class B van or a Class C RV, and they're just not towing an extra, you know, car, SUV with it. Are those work campers able to drive their home back and forth from the work site? Will there be enough room for them to park at the work site?
So we do have folks that take their Class B or Class C. I don't think I've ever seen anybody take their Class A to work with them, and that's probably not something we would recommend. But you might not, you know, the parking area for your rig might not be close to you, like to access. But yes, just understand that, again, there is a ton of truck traffic that comes in and out of these locations to be aware of.
Yeah, and something that is probably likely to, and again, just one of the community elements of this unique opportunity, you may be able to carpool with others who are on your same shift. So if you are, you know, not wanting to move your home to and fro the work site, just, you know, go around the campground and make friends with others. I mean, the majority of the folks in the campground at that time are likely going to be there for harvest anyway. So I'm sure there's a lot of carpooling that goes on.
Correct. You are absolutely right, Jody. We definitely encourage networking, whether it's just to, again, meet like-minded individuals like yourselves around you. If you've got pets, again, network with them, or like you said, for carpooling purposes. And if there is a campground host in the location you're going, some of them might have like a something that says this person's looking for a carpooling or this person's willing to carpool, that they can kind of help you network with.
Cool. Social coordinator. Nice. Yeah. And that's something too, like Alyssa said, just the community element of this opportunity. I think you're going to end up meeting a lot of like-minded people, and it's a really good avenue for networking, an opportunity for networking. So if you're new to the work camping lifestyle, this is a great community and way to connect with others in the community. You're going to learn so much from each other as you're standing there sweeping up the dirt and directing trucks. You may be talking with a work camper who's been doing this for 12 years, and they'll give you all these ideas of cool stuff they've done and what they were successful at and what to watch out for. So I would recommend new work campers doing an opportunity like this, so that way they're able to spend time with so many experienced work campers. And yeah, I think it's just a really great relationship building opportunity, maybe more so than just, going to being the only work camper at a campground somewhere. So. All right, let's see some more questions here. Okay, a person asked how their RV will hold up in the cold. But there's really just a lot more questions to be answered. To answer that question, it's going to depend on the RV. But Alyssa, do you require RVs to be hard-sided? So no pop-ups, right?
We've had pop-ups in the past. Again, like we're not gonna tell somebody how they should or should not live. Ultimately, the thing that we don't allow is tents. Truly to be up off the ground, because again, like I said, I've seen a foot of snow, and we don't want to scare people into, if anybody's seen the movie Fargo, like it's not below zero all year round up here, and we actually have really nice temperatures during that time, where it's a lot of t-shirt weather. But we just also want to make sure that we're transparent about what the weather can be, because we have seen it. But the main thing is that you're up off the ground, so we do not allow tents.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And there are a lot of resources online, videos and blogs and stuff that other RVers have made. If you do need information on, quote, cold weather camping in your RV, I mean, there's a lot of real simple things. You don't necessarily need, oh, you got to go buy a heated hose and all this insulation. It's like, it's a short period of time. There are a few things you can do to help keep your RV from freezing if it happens to get that cold and stuff like that. So lots of stuff online about handling that. Okay, let's see here. When would folks need to arrive to their work area?
That is a great question. We generally have our work campers arrive the last week of September. So again, we have you come in, get set up, get supplies that you might need that you maybe didn't want to drive 1,500 miles with, send you out to, or your orientation, your training, and then really get you prepared and ready for what hopefully will be an October 1 start date.
Okay, perfect. And how many hours per week is a work week?
Well, so we operate 7 days a week, weather permitting. Again, 10 to 15 working days to get those beets in. So I think it's, I think it's 84 technically a week. So you're 12-hour days, 7 days a week. It's a lot of work, and it can be draining. And sometimes we've got people saying, man, I really wish we had a shutdown right now. But you can do anything you put your mind to for 2 weeks, including this. We've got a lot of people that take the money and that they earn from this and go and buy tires for their RV, or this is like their fun money, or some people this is the only job that they do, and then they go hang out in the desert of Arizona, and then they come back again for another year. So it can be long hours, but again, it's 10 to 15 working days to get those those beets in. If your station does finish early and we've got some stations that are still running, we would encourage you to let us know that you are interested in transitioning to another location, so we can continue getting more money in your pocket and allowing you to help us continue get those beets in a pile.
Nice. Very, very good input there, Alyssa. You must have had a little bit of intuition there. You just answered one of the other questions that was asked. If their piling site finishes, would they have the opportunity to help other locations complete their work? So awesome.
Yes, we encourage it. Please let us know if your site is done early.
Yeah. Are there any opportunities, like if a work camper is not able to get there until like October 5th or October 10th or something like that, is there any capability for them to still work the harvest?
We do have a late arrival program where if you cannot make it for the 10/1 start date, but can make it within that week following that 10/1 start date. So if it is something where the dates line better for you to be a part of that late arrival program, please let your work camper coordinator know and they can kind of go through those details with you.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. Okay, for a 12-hour shift, what are the break and lunch lengths?
You and Nick and Travis, correct me if I'm wrong, you get 2 15s and 1:30.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, super. And we did cover this, but the second part of the question was, are there locations close by to get food or refreshments?
I mean, you're on your way to work, there's probably always going to be a gas station or a McDonald's that you pass by, but we encourage people to be prepared when they get here. So, having, again, that's why we try to give people time when they get up here to get the things that they might need to start work. Because if we do get going and don't have a shutdown, after 12 hours, a lot of people go home and go to bed. It's not like they're out, dilly-dallying or grocery shopping. So we encourage people to be absolutely as prepared as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. A couple kind of related questions here. The first question is, are there any positions for registered nurses?
Not at this time. I don't believe so. Not to say that it's not a possibility in the future, but right now we're looking for folks that would like to pile beets, and I don't have a registered nurse position for beet harvest at this time.
Are there any on-site medical services at the piling stations, maybe for minor injuries?
We've got all the protocols in place for if a injury or incident were to happen. I mean, we've just like any other job site or work that you've got, they've got protocols in place. We've got access to nurses as well. But again, those are all things that you are going to specifically learn. If I talk about it now, people aren't going to remember it in October when, during the safety briefing that we've mentioned it now. So it's really thorough, in depth once an individual is up here for beet harvest.
Yeah, totally. Okay, great. All right, let's see. Some more questions coming in. Do you hire felons?
So we do not do a background check on folks that are working the ground. And again, that's kind of a loaded question. I think there's a lot that goes into that. So at this point, we don't perform a background check to perform these positions.
Okie dokie. All right, we have a solo work camper online with us, wondering what is the likelihood of being hired. She'll be in South Dakota till about September 20th, so could come in short notice.
Okay, if she hasn't applied, we would definitely encourage it. It's really hard to say right now. It is still early in the year, and a lot of things could change. There might be some sites where we've gotten our numbers and maybe we need a little extra, and so we might be able to slot a few extra people in at that time. So don't let the backup list discourage you. Please go on and submit that application. A lot of things can change between now and October.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay. And what positions do first timers usually do or usually are assigned to?
So again, a lot of people, 95% of the folks that we hire, and especially the first timers, are going to be that helper sample taker position. There's always the possibility of moving up into a skid steer or pile operator position after harvest has started, but most folks will start at that ground crew helper sample taker.
Sure. Okay. And you mentioned earlier there was potentially one position available potentially for driving a truck. And when would that position be open?
So that starts, same time as harvest, so October 1st, and it can last, again, 10 to 15 days, maybe a couple days more, depending on what's coming in, but same time frame as the regular beet harvest. And for the nurse that is on, again, I was let known something, which is why I'm so grateful that I've got other people on this Jobinar, but we don't have a nurse position, but we do kind of have a one-off job, kind of like the truck driving one, for a safety coordinator. So if anybody has experience, again, with people and safety, we are potentially always looking for folks in that aspect as well. So one thing I want to point out is when people submit their resumes, if there's something like a one-off job that we might not usually hire for, but maybe their background has it in it, it's always an opportunity for us to go, hey, is this something that you might want? Or, hey, I know we've got this one position. This might be a really great candidate. So even if you're not applying directly for it, please know that when you're submitting your information, we're always looking to see what your strong suits are.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Is there any housing available for folks who maybe don't have a RV?
So our housing is very limited. Again, we're really trying to be a work camper program to the best of our ability. We do have some housing available. Again, at this time, we have started a backup list. We had a lot of rehires come back, and they do get the first opportunity to return. And so with that, we had started a housing backup list, as again, we are limited on housing as well, just like we are on campground spaces.
Sure. Okay. And one person online is wondering if there are background checks done for the folks that do apply for housing.
Correct. For our housing individuals, we do have background checks done. So it is something that you would need to be prepared for.
Okie dokie. Alrighty. And is there training provided on the skid steer, or do you need experience?
Nick, Travis?
Yeah, we would offer training. We have skid steers on site prior to the start of harvest that we use for other tasks, and training is one of them. And so if an applicant has post experience, or it's maybe something they are interested in, we can get them in the cab and on the controls and see if it's the right fit for them. So.
Okay, cool. All right, that's very considerate. Okay, all right, attendees, we've gone through the submitted questions here, so last call for questions, but we'll probably wrap up here soon. Just a random question that I had thought about. Do the tops of the beets, like the leafy green parts of the beets, are those removed as the farmers are harvesting them from the fields?
Yep, they are. We use flail shredders that are on a topper that we call it, and then sometimes we'll run a scalp and actually kind of take the crown of the beet off as well. But yep, that is all removed prior to us receiving them.
Wow. Okay. So that's all done in the field. And so what's loaded into the trucks then that come to the piling stations are those trimmed and prepped beets.
Yep.
Cool.
Sugar beets and a little bit of dirt or soil with them as well. So
yeah. What's the biggest beet you guys have ever seen?
I think we've got a picture in here of a pretty big sized, beet.
Yeah, I forget if it's in, I know you've had it in past years for sure. Or if you just go look through the socials, the photos on your socials, I'm sure you can find some, but maybe what, 20 pounds or something?
I wouldn't doubt it that it's out there. Yeah, they can get to be, if there's a beet growing by itself without any other competition or beets around it, they can get pretty darn big. So
Cool, interesting. And is there much of a smell from the beets?
I wouldn't say what we are during the the fall when they're freshly dug. No, there wouldn't be much of a smell, I would say, from the beets. So
If nothing else, maybe just a little earthiness from the dirt and stuff coming in. Okay.
yep, yep.
All right. Well, you guys have done a great job answering questions. We sure appreciate all of you, Alyssa, Travis, and Nick, for being online and giving all these great details. We don't have any other questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Alyssa and team, any other input you guys want to share today?
No, we appreciate the time that you gave us and the ability to come out and share our opportunity. And we hope that we provided enough information for you to make a decision if this is right for you to join us. And Jody, again, as always, we super appreciate you being on here with us and all the kind words. We love you. We love Workamper News, and we love our work campers. So thank you all for your time today.
Absolutely. All right, Workampers, well, head on over to theunbeatableexperience.com to get those applications in, to get more details out, and hopefully you can enjoy this unique, fun work camping opportunity for this fall of 2025, or maybe even get it on your list for 2026. But whatever y'all decide to do, we wish you happy work camping. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.